Let's look up close at a few different rounds here for different purposes. This is the 40 Smith & Wesson, and I was looking through one of my range bags, and I had quite an assortment here, so I can describe my experiences with these different projectiles, and I pretty much know the velocities of these because I've chronographed most of these at the range. Let's start off with this one. This is one of my favorites. This is 165 grain Hornady critical defense. This is fantastic. Might be overall just the best choice. These have some power. These are not a weakling round. These will chrono in the 1130, 1140 range out of a 4.5 inch barrel. These are just known performers. It's not rated as a bonded bullet, but these hold together very well. This elastomer in here will ensure that expands no matter what it hits. Sometimes you can hit something like drywall that compresses, or fabric which can compress. As the material's being compressed, it's using the energy that should be opening the projectile. That's why water is such a good medium for hollow point bullet expansion. Water does not compress. This polymer here probably doesn't compress, or very little. So when force is applied to it, it can only radiate out the side and open up. Drywall, gypsum can plug hollow points, prevent them from opening. This is the Extreme Defender in Underwood loading. This is fantastic. I love these. This is a Ranger, 180 grain Ranger bonded, RA40B. I got a bunch of this. It was government overrun stuff, I'm sure. High-end bonded bullet. You cannot go wrong with a good 180 bonded bullet in your 40. That's what I would overall recommend to most people. A good, big 180. Dependable one. Like this, gold dot too. Or no, that's not the gold dot. Where's the gold? Here's the gold dot. This is a double tap. 180 grain gold dot. You're not going to get much better than that in a 40. This thing's cruising up close to 1,100 feet a second. Definitely do a number. This is a Buffalo Bore, 125 grain, Starline brass. This is pushing almost 600 foot-pounds of muzzle energy out of a 40. That's getting you right into 357 Magnum energies. This is tremendous, 125 grain. This is a 200 grain, big one. I don't mind those either. The 200 grain hard cast in 40 is a real penetrator. Big bullets are good bullets. This is a 105 grain frangible. It's meant to just dissipate when it hits. Very small projectile at 105 grains, but these are cruising along at 13 something, and they will break up. So it might not be a bad choice if you lived in an apartment or something. Certainly going to have less penetration than the rest of these, but these things can be unpredictable. You really don't know. That could penetrate considerably in some circumstances. So don't ever think anything's fail-safe when it comes to little things moving very fast. Let's look at some more of these good ones. This is a Corbon right here. 135 grain. This is the good stuff. This will chrono almost 1,400 feet a second, getting you into that 357 Magnum energy range. These are whopper stoppers. Corbon. What do we got here? What is this? Oh, this is a regular Nosler, I think. Yeah. Hollow point. This is the Barnes XPD solid copper projectile. It's probably the same thing as the XP, but painted. I don't know. Looks like the XP. Solid copper. This is a weakly loaded one. Low recoil, low flash. Still very effective. Wouldn't be a bad choice. Solid copper. Low recoil. It's just some range ammo here. Here's a aluminum case one if you're really cheap. Sometimes these don't feed that well. The aluminum doesn't have the slickness of the brass case, but it's a lot cheaper. This is a frangible here, meant for shooting steel targets. So there's some of the Hot Rod 40 right here. This is it. This is a real McCoy, especially this buffalo bore. That's pushing out almost 600 foot-pounds of energy. These big 180s, like this Ranger bonded or this Gold Dot. That's the way to go. I also like this 165. This is putting out over 500 foot-pounds. This Hornady offering is just unbelievable. I might recommend that over everything else here. But these are all Hot Rod 40 rounds. Now let's go over here and look at the 357 SIG. You got the Hornady XPD right there. That's a Barnes TAC XP. I don't know what I called it. This is the TAC XP D with this black on it. The TAC XP is this one without the color on it. This is another solid copper one right here. TAC XP, Buffalo Bore, Starline. These things are flying. They're going way over 1,400 from a 4.5. This is a regular loading. Or no, that's the... This is the hottest one here. Grizzly, 90 grain. These will chrono about 17, a little bit over 1,700, close to 1,800 maybe in longer barrel. Unbelievable energy. Close to 700 foot-pounds. This is another very hot one, often underlooked one. This is a Nosler Sporting Bullet. It's a hunting bullet, 125 grain. It's a regular cup and core. It's not bonded. These will chrono like 15-20 out of my 226 and even a little bit more out of my Glock 31. These are a powerhouse. When you start talking, a 357 SIG's as good as a 357 Magnum, you have to use rounds like this for the comparison. So this is going over 1,500 feet a second. A 357 Magnum, you can load those up to about 17. So the 357 Magnum's considerably more powerful across the board than the SIG. But what the SIG can do is it can take small projectiles like this, push them at a very high velocity and get energy. Because if you double the speed of a projectile, you don't just double its energy, you quadruple it. That's a law of physics. It's almost like the inverse square law. So you can take a light bullet, push it very fast, and generate huge amounts of energy. Although it may not be optimal. It may not be as good as a bigger bullet. There's just a lot of factors involved in figuring out how effective something's going to be. But that's certainly a hot one. This is a Critical Duty. I hate these. This is hard, high antimony lead. These things don't open up for nothing. this is a very low power round. This is about equal to a 9mm. It's low recoil, low flash. It doesn't even make much of a bang. If you want a weak round that'll still get something done, I suppose you could use these, but these are horrible. I hate the critical duty. In every configuration, they load it weak. They probably load it weak like that so more people can qualify. But it's a piss poor choice for anything, in my opinion. Gold dot. This is a regular spear loading. This is probably what I would recommend for most people. This will hit the 1350 arena, which is really almost ideal for the 357 SIG. You don't necessarily need the hottest. You just need something that's right in that sweet spot, about 1350. When you start going from these 1350 cartridges up to these 1500 cartridges, you start to not only feel the difference in muzzle blast, barrel rise, recoil, and report. The report is atrocious on these. They'd probably blow an eardrum out inside, or maybe both your eardrums, whereas something like this would be more forgiving. So there's all kinds of factors involved. This is the 65 grain. This is just a ferocious thing. 2,000 feet per second. These aren't going to fail. This would be a great self-defense round here with very low recoil. Love these. But that's some of the variety of projectiles you have to choose from. And these are all good ones. This is all the hot stuff. This buffalo bore with that TAC XP in there. That's solid copper. This is going to open up no matter what, because it's bucking along at 1450. Even if it got plugged with something, it would probably still peel back. These little super light hollow points I don't like. But they're interesting in how fast they can push them and how much energy they can generate. This would certainly make a gargantuan trauma, but it probably wouldn't bore itself in too deep. These bigger bullets, like in the 40, these gold dots, this will burrow in deep, 16, 18 inches in gel, and just smoke all the FBI tests, these 180s. You can't go wrong with those 180s. But there's a wide variety of them out here. And they all have their purpose.